Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Hammer Radio Basics Live, Season 4, Episode 6, Hammer Radio News and Updates 2/4/2026. Hope everybody is well. Wow, no Andy today. Wow, Cooley's here. K5 is here. Let's see, Rob is here. And James is here. Welcome, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Just to give you a little update here, in the Tampa area, we have had just some, seriously, some absolutely insane. Hey, KR48, thank you for stopping by, guys. Yeah, it's been kind of crazy the weather we've had. The past weekend, was it weekend? Yeah, we've had 4 or more days, probably up to 5 now, where our low overnight is in the 20s. Yeah, that's consistent like that. They told us on Saturday night we could go out there and hopefully maybe see some snow flurries. That wasn't the case. And it would have been at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I'll tell you what, I'm not getting out of bed at 2 a.m. in the morning to see snow flurries, okay? I was born and raised up north. I've seen enough snow flurries to last a million lifetimes. No, thank you. That wasn't going to happen. So, King Schools for Part 107. Oh, okay, wow. King Schools Part 107 study. King Schools is whom I use for CFI prep. Your opinion? I don't really know King Schools. Remote Pilot 101 is what I recommend. I didn't use it, but I've been through the course. I became a member for life. I think I paid $125 and I can retake courses anytime. It's a lifetime membership there. So Remote Pilot 101 is how I would go if you're looking at getting your Part 107. I can tell you that right now. I'm not familiar with King Schools. That's just my 2 cents worth about that. So yeah, drones we're still kind of topsy-turvy. Now we're hearing that we'll be allowed to do firmware updates up to and including January 2027. Then after that, who knows? Our drones aren't going to be bricked, but it's just like there's so much garbage. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, James. Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, just what can I say with all that stuff, with all the drone stuff? A lot of my stuff that I got, you can see some of the stuff on the couch over there. I bought backup of some things like extra batteries, propellers, and things like that because, we don't know if going forward that we're going to be able to get some of those things. And I've had to buy them because it's a long, complicated story. DJI is not shipping in the United States because their shipments are being blocked at Customs and Border Patrol because supposedly they're using the Uyghurs in forced labor situation to help make DJI drones, which isn't true at all. And they've investigated it. But there needs to, if that can end, that would really free up our lives because in order for me to buy, like, imagine me instead of being able to go to DX Engineering or Gigaparts or Ham Radio Outlet or our main trading company to get things, I have to go on eBay and get them from a seller in South Korea, Japan, or China and look to see if that seller will take care of the tariffs because, you have to pay tariffs on top of stuff. So it's like, it's a really complicated mess. Trust me on that. So hopefully we're going to get to some warmer weather here coming up. I hope so because we're shooting for what? It's Hamcation is coming up. It's going to be a couple of weeks. Oh, it's a week. It's a week from Friday. I think, it's a week from Friday. So that's coming up. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be very interesting. I'm probably going to do a preview show next week on that. It's pretty easy. I'll just kind of go around some things and everything. And well, you know what? Let me give you guys and this is just me flying off the cuff right here. Some of the tips that I have for hamcation. Number one tip is, you only really need, unless there's somebody specifically you want to see on a second day, you really only need one full day there. Or unless you're wrapped up in wanting to get more of that wonderfully expensive, $20 for a hot dog and a Coke kind of food, or, be there for all the raffle drawings, you can do that. But really, you can knock it out in one day. And that's something I plan on doing, is being able to knock that out in one day. It's nice because it's a lot more compact than Hamvention is, and it's easier to, everything's really, their buildings are kind of connected, so it's really easy to get through. It's really only 2 or 3 buildings that you need to go to. Most of the swap meet is done indoors now. They have a really nice indoor building set up there for that. So that works out really, really well. Parking is always a mess. If you get there like at 8 a.m., you probably get a spot like right on that side. Otherwise, you got to park on the other side of the fairgrounds, and there are ruts that will destroy any axle on any vehicle. So you got to take that really, really slow. I mean, really, really slow. It's a real mess. So, and then it's not in the nicest area of town, I can tell you that. So if you're staying at a hotel, don't stay near it, okay? Because it's just not and this is for you guys, if any of you guys are considering going. Go to, Hamcation. They have a great website out there that gives you recommendations for places to stay. We stayed at, and I'm trying to, Drury Inns and Suites, I think. It's right next to Universal, and it was great. There was a lot of, it was packed. It was one of the hotels that Hamcation recommended for people, and we stayed there, and we really liked it. It was not that far away. It was fairly easy to get to. And parking's free at Hamcation, so that's not really an issue. It's getting through there, and it's like, and you got to be careful when you're walking out, because you could if you're not watching what you're doing, you could fall and trip and hurt yourself or break an ankle or worse. So just be really careful when you do that. The food vendors are the food vendors. It's always going to kind of be the same thing as far as that's concerned. If you want to pay $25 for a hot dog, fries, and a Coke, you're welcome to do that. We got some lemonade there a couple of times, and it was outrageous. I think I paid $20 for 2 lemonades, and they were about that big. So, yeah. We went off site to eat, and that's what we did. That's what I've done a couple of years there. We might stop and get some fries if there's no line there, and pay $10 for some fries, just to have something to nibble on for a while. But no, that's mostly how we do that. But and I can also tell you this, one of the other ones, Hamcation is the Rob, that's a great question. Hamcation is in Orlando, Florida, and it's in the Florida Fairgrounds there in Orlando, and it's held early in February. I think the dates are the 13th, 14th, 15th this year. And it's really kind of like what Hamcation is. It's the second largest ham radio convention in the United States. Hamvention is the largest one, and they meet over near Dayton, Ohio, and Xenia, Ohio. And they have a lot of vendors there. You see almost all the big names there, and some of the smaller vendors there as well too. And you get a chance to try out products there. ICOM has a booth set up there. Yaesu has a booth set up there. You get to John Kruk's usually there from Yaesu. Our good friend from ICOM. Forget his name. Great guy. He's there as well too. And you try to get it, and it's really funny because everybody knows who these guys are, and there's almost a line to go to talk to them versus wanting to go see the products there and product demos, and they have those there. So Hamcation, it's a great time, and you get to see other hams there too, and it's really nice. You can get some good deals on some stuff. Like Ham Radio Outlet is really big there. They sell a lot of equipment there. DX Engineering does not go to Hamcation. They do go to Hamvention because they're in Ohio. They don't go to Hamcation simply because it's not really cost effective for them. It's more cost effective to go to Hamvention for them. So, and what's nice is it being it's really the core of it's really in just a couple of buildings. It's easy to get around in. Earlier in the morning, it's going to be crowded. So if you want to be able to move freely about there, it's best looking at going. Oh, congratulations, Freeboard. That's awesome. Congratulations. So it's best if you want to go when it's not busy or crowded. It's usually very busy and very crowded early in the morning. My recommendation for you when you go to that is to maybe go about 11 or 12 o'clock. A lot of people are taking breaks for lunch at that point in time. They're usually off the floor. It's easier to walk around. Some of those places can get backed up with people asking questions and so forth. So, navigating through there is always a challenge as far as that's concerned. But Ham Radio Prep was there. James from there. Jim, great people, great guys. Absolutely love them. They're fantastic. And I'm ended up doing a Hamcation show anyway, not showing you the graphics. Usually what I show is like the parking lot and how to get around. It's super easy to get around the buildings. I mean, like I said, it's mostly 3 buildings that you'll be in and mostly one. And like I said, there's a number of vendors set up there. There are some outdoor, flea market, type arrangements set up. But for the most part, because rain is always a possibility, they set it up indoors. And it's huge. They have a huge hall where they set it up. And it's really nice in there. Now, I don't know if it's like down in Huntsville, where they have a table a table where you can test equipment that you've purchased there to see if it still works. You can get a lot of good deals there. I mean, it's always hit or miss. For me, it's always a miss. It's always a swing and a miss. Usually, because I'm looking for a couple of things, and I'll find something, and it's what I want, but it's like almost 25 years old, and you can tell the print's worn off of stuff, and knobs are like, no, I'm gonna pass. I want something that almost looks like it came out of the box, kind of new and has been gently used, kind of a thing. So, and there's some things that I have on my radar as far as that's concerned. So, yeah. So, oh, okay, Rob. Yeah, Radioddity, I think they are, James. I'm not 100% sure. I know they were at Hamvention. I think they'll be at Hamcation as well. Gigaparts is there. Ham Radioddit's there. Main Trading is there. Okay. Richard will be coming up from Texas for that. He's there. He's also at Hamvention as well too. You can take a look out on their website. It lists the vendors who will be there. I was shocked and surprised at first. And what I found out is it's more cost effective for, like a DX Engineering, for them to focus in and hone in on Hamvention versus Hamcation, because it's very short travel time. And it costs them a lot of money. I mean, they have to pay booth rental and set up. And, they crunch the numbers, and it's better for them to go to Dayton than it is to go down to Orlando. So, but all in all, it's a great time. T.O. said he'd be at the radio. T.O. is Mr. Radioddity himself. Okay, he probably really is one of the owners of the company. He just hasn't told us yet. So, but yeah, all in all, it's a great time up there. It's a lot of fun, and the best part about it is not picking up an antenna or a mic or a cable or who knows what, or something to swap me, but seeing people that especially from YouTube, some of the YouTubers there. And I know Jason will always be there, Josh will be there, Mike KMRD will be there, TO will be there, Smoking Ape, he was there. I got to see him too. We went 2 years ago. He was there 2 years ago, got to meet him for the first time. Just really great people. And to me, that's really kind of worth the price of admission, is rubbing shoulders and talking to some of these people and just finding out how real down to earth and real nice they are. Jason was great to talk to. Really enjoyed talking to him for a few minutes. Mike, KMRD, he's great as well too. Just some real nice people. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that time. So if you guys get a chance to go, if you get a chance to go. It's fantastic. Tickets are not that expensive, and you get to enter around. And there's extra options. You can go into one of the buildings where I think it's Bioenno batteries there, among other ones. There's some other ones there. But you can also purchase additional raffle tickets there for like $5 a piece. You know, I spent another $30, got some raffle tickets. Didn't win anything, but I had more chances. So why not? And your chances of winning something like that are a lot better than, you know, Powerball or scratch offs or things like that. So, okay. All right. Well, one of the things when you become a newly licensed ham radio operator, a lot of people are foundering. And I did a video series on, now I have my ham radio license, now what? And this is kind of goes in line with this, but I put together 10 top things to do after getting your license. And, you know, and the first thing that I have to say, you know, for those of you that are doing that, if you guys are watching, congratulations, okay? Because taking any of the exams is and passing them are fantastic, all right? And it is true. You know, when you progress up to take, you know, general and amateur, it gets harder. It does. And, you know, amateur was pretty hard. I think I missed 3 questions on amateur, which really kind of amazed me. But I used my study guides. I followed them well. And see, what I had used, it was, I think, Ham Test Online. I'm not 100% sure. But they kept rotating the pool of questions, which really helped me because I didn't memorize the answers. I knew the answers. I knew what the answers were. And there's a big difference there. So, you know, again, on something like this, you know, it's a noteworthy achievement, and congratulations, and definitely on a job well done. Now, one of the things that you want to do right away is make your first contact, because, you know, that's the thing I think people are most anxious to do. So, you know, call a local repeater, try Simplex or CQ. Keep it short, keep it simple. You know, just get on the air, get out there. You know, and if you need someone to help you, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute, get somebody to help you. But the important thing is get on the air, get out there. You know, have a brief conversation with somebody. You know, get your feet wet, and that's the only way to do it. And everybody, you know, one of the questions I get a lot is, oh, you know, I'm afraid. Well, there are videos out there that kind of help you with that. But, you know, here's just one, you know, dial up, you know, a local repeater, or, you know, CQ. This is Kilo Whiskey 4 Quebec Oscar, you know, radio check or whatever, you know, and have somebody get back to you. You know, just something like that. And you'll get somebody, you know, I'm reading you, blah, blah, blah. You had a conversation, you've got your feet wet, and it's fantastic. And you want to keep it real short, real simple. You don't want to say, how are the grandkids doing? You know, what's your weather like? Blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. You know, just keep it really brief. Keep it really, you know, this is Bill. My, you know, I'm QTOs from Tampa, Florida. You know, we're having some good weather today. 7.3s, and have a great rest of your day. Just real simple, just to do that. So that's just kind of to start the ball rolling there. You know, and the other thing is, and this is something you pick out over time, is, and this is something I've told a lot of people, when you first start out on ham radio, one of the big things to do is to get in and to listen, especially if you find somebody doing POTA, you'll hear a lot of contacts, and you can learn a lot by listening. In fact, you'll learn a lot more by listening than by talking. That's for sure. And you can listen to how a good conversation will end up going. You know, they'll announce their call sign correctly. You know, Kilo Whiskey 4 Quebec Oscar. You know, memorize that, get that down. And that's why a lot of our radios today, you know, I know the ICOM radios have that record feature. So especially if you're doing POTA, you have a CQ already out there and recorded, and you just hit a button and it goes out there and it does that for you. So, and you want to pause between transmissions. Everybody, you know, you're so anxious in everything, and you don't want to take a break, but you need to pause, and you need to give people a chance to catch up. You don't want to give them your life story in 3 or 4 sentences. You want to give a sentence, pause, and then move on here. And then the last thing that's listed on here: listen more than you talk. Like I said, I can't say that enough. You're going to learn a whole lot more by listening to people and listening. I've listened to some great conversations out there. I've listened to some really bad ones out there. You know, and it's just part of luck here. I mean, it's just what it is. Oh, good luck, Pat. Congratulations. Hope you can do well on that. Keep us posted and let us know how you end up doing on that. Now, joining a local ham club, it's not always possible to do that because some areas may not have ham radio clubs, but you know, and I know there's been some video. I think Jason may have recently done a video on ham radio clubs, and they're starting to get, unfortunately, further fewer and farther between because a lot of older people are running them, and they're not getting new blood into the club, and when they get to a point where they have to end up shutting down, which is really really kind of sad. But if you can find a good one in your area, okay, some of the things to look for is to have some great mentors there, Elmers. I know YouTube is invaluable for learning things on the fly. You can learn a lot from YouTube. I've learned a lot from YouTube, but nothing beats some hands-on experience with someone who's been down that road and knows what to do in situations. Oh, you have a crimped coax cable right here that's causing your problem, or you're using a wrong connector right here, or you didn't have your radials spread out far enough. Just easy things, and it's just incredible. The other thing is repeater access and learning how to work with repeaters, and they're very easy. And there's videos on YouTube on how to do that. They have repeaters there, and a lot of them do, and it really helps the club. Now, most clubs have set up some nice equipment at the club headquarters. So, and then there's group activities and field day. I mean, they have a lot of clubs that are active and involved will have a lot of social activities going on. The club that I'm with, I think they meet for breakfast every Wednesday and every Saturday at the same place at the same time, which is real nice. They're very consistent about that. And then, of course, field day when they get everybody out. And a lot of clubs are involved in areas in helping out with community events and so forth. So, but do some investigation. Go out if you're looking for one. Go out to ARRL's website. They can point you in the right direction to find a local club in your area. So, check into nets. I mean, nets are actually, you find a good net, it really kind of helps, and they're right, build confidence and skill. It really helps you when you found a good net and you're engaging with people and you have some nice back and forth there. It's really good. Now, one of the times I did one after we had one of our hurricanes, I checked into a net. I went out on a 4. I didn't have my 705 set up, so I just took my Yaesu FT-5R out, and I checked into an emergency net that was going on. They were checking people from different communities to see how they are and to see if there's any damage or anything, which I did. I reported in my area. I said there was no damage. Still a lot of wind and some rain. In casual conversation nets, I mean, there's some ones out there that really, they just chew the rag out there. They're finding out, their schedule for the week and how they're doing and all that kind of information. So, nets are a really good thing, and you'll really learn a lot. And again, it's a nice way to meet some people, and you can get you might be able to meet a mentor or an Elmer that way. So that's something definitely to consider here. Program your radio. One of the things, unlock your radio's potential, save repeaters and simplex channels, set tones and offsets, use programming software if possible. What's really nice, and I bought several. I got maybe 4 or 5 HTs for Christmas. Most I spent on one was $100. But in all instances, with all these have an app. They're Bluetooth enabled. They have an app where it will download everything for you on the radio, including your tones and offsets. You don't have to do a thing. Absolutely love that. These manufacturers are just have really. I think first time I saw it was on a TIDRADIO HD that I had, and several of the other ones that I have, Ratel and Baofeng. They're all doing this now, and most of the radios are coming in like that, and it's fantastic. It makes it super easy, super quick, super convenient to get out and get on the air ASAP. It really, I mean, if you want to go back, there's ways to program it. Baofeng uses Chirp. I know Yaesu has, their own software. There's a special software, and I forget the name of it. Yaesu uses it. ICOM uses it for their radios. Kenwood uses it for their radios as well too. So you download the software, you get a cable, hook it up to your PC, and you can go out to radio.com, I believe, or radio reference. Okay, radio reference. I'm sorry. RT Systems. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Yeah, RT Systems is a software for that, and it does a good job, and it really works well. But now, like I said, with having this, oh my gosh, it's like a godsend. I think that's one of the greatest things I've seen personally in the last 10 years was that and most of them are going to it like that. And the ones I asked for Christmas, for my wife, all of them had Bluetooth, every one of them. Because you know what? I don't want to get in there. I mean, I can do it if I had to. That's not a problem. But if it's an app and it does it for you, why not? It's like using AI like ChatGPT or Grok or anything. So set up a home station. And in the rule of thumb here is you want to keep something simple. Obviously, if you have a handheld, and that's the only thing you have, well, you're there and you're at your station. And, one of the things that you do need to keep in mind is you want to try to, wherever you set up your station, you want to try to keep it away from a lot of major electronics for obvious reasons, for interference, feedback, all that kind of good stuff. That's something that you definitely want to do here. JGR. Yes, exactly. Oh yeah, James. Yeah, it's absolutely. It's absolutely fantastic. And one of the things too, if you're going to put a permanent outdoor antenna, you need to get well versed in grounding. And I saw the other day, I think it was on ham radio operators, one of the larger Facebook groups out there. Somebody said he's lucky to be alive. He disconnected everything and it still came in through his wall. It fried absolutely positively. And he disconnected from his radio. But his radio still had damage anyway because lightning traveled. He disconnected everything. It still had damage. If you get hit directly by lightning, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. But you need to have that brass spike. I think it's brass, 8 feet in the ground. That's a must. You have to do that. Especially where we live here, like in Tampa, they did call them, although we're not really, that we have the Tampa Bay Lightning hockey team, but they call us the lightning capital of the world. It's not really 100% accurate, but we do get an awful lot of lightning in the area. So, you need to be people around here need to be very wary of that. And when you set up, a lot of times, if you want to get a mobile radio, go for it. Just find, what the right antenna combination is for it. Get it hooked up so it's easy and convenient for you to use. Be very wary, at first when you're using mobile, be very wary of using it while you're driving. That's more of like, if you're stopped or parked, is when you want to do that and when you're switching channels and things. So that really helps. And the indoor or outdoor antenna, indoor antennas are great. Those loop antennas are fantastic. They work really well. But again, you want to be mindful of not only other electronics, but remember, they give off radio waves. And you know what? I don't really feel like cooking my insides. That's kind of like how that goes. So, yep, David. Yeah. Copper clad, 8-foot copper clad ground rod bonded to home electric. Yep, exactly. I'm sorry. I was thinking bronze. I don't know why I came into that. But David, thank you for mentioning that. Copper clad. Yes. For that. So yeah, for basic grounding, that's something you definitely want to do there. start a contact log. And it's really kind of, it really kind of gives you a good feeling to know that you've made these contacts. I would highly recommend doing a digital one online. That way, you can keep a track of things. And I like going back historically and looking at things that I've done through the years on some of these things that I've done. And, it's never too late to start logging. It took me forever to get up and run to it. And, it really makes a big difference. It really makes a big difference. And if you've come across somebody a few times, you can note that down there. And especially, if you're using it like an Excel format, you can do searches for things. If you're looking for, a certain person that you've talked to before, or, a certain state that you've talked to quite a bit, or overseas, if you've done some DX, where you've been able to make contacts and on what bands and so forth. And frequencies, it makes a lot of difference. And having this data is invaluable, and you can plug that kind of data into like a search or like ChatGPT or Grok. It'll be able to give you a wealth of information back. So that's something I highly recommend you doing. I know Ham Radio Prep, and I forget World Radio League. It's free, but you can sign up and pay for services as well too. But it's a free logging system, so that's something, and it's fairly straightforward and easy to use. So that would be something that I would definitely take a look at and recommend. Ham Radio Pass. One thing about ham radio, somebody said ham radio is the hobby of 1,000 hobbies, and it's so true. Okay, you can do so much here, and what they have listed up here. I'm thinking more like CW, like Morse code. If you want to do POTA, if you want to do SOTA, if you want to do DX and contests, if you want to get into digital modes, FT8, if you want to get into emergency communications with Aries, there's so many different facets that you can take with this. If you want to become a volunteer examiner at the test and be able to do that, you can look into that. There's so many different ways to go with this, and that's a wonderful thing about the hobby. Upgrade your antenna first. And this is something, this old adage is true. Antenna is greater than radio. And, you can get $100 radio and a $500 antenna, and you may be making contacts all over the world. And I kid you not. All right. Versus, spending, say, $2,000 on a wonderful radio and then $100 on an antenna. And you kind of get where I'm going here on this. You definitely always want to spend more money on your antenna. And height and placement do matter. Probably, for me, I'm limited to 20 feet where I live in my HOA. And even, it's under the guise of a flagpole. It'll do well. It won't be the greatest, but it's better, absolutely better than nothing. And you don't want to get too complicated with your antennas. I know a lot of people have yard setups and they've had them, and they have Yagis out there, and, you want to keep it real simple. End-fed half waves are absolutely fantastic. And a lot of times, like HOA Ham, Bob, who lives north of me here in the Tampa area, he sets up some great antennas that are absolutely invisible to his neighbors. And you have no idea he has an antenna up. And you want to keep things really simple with that. You don't want to go overboard. But I have a Chameleon MPass 2.0 that I use a lot, and it works really well. It's easy to deploy. It's easy to put away. I love it. I absolutely, positively love it. And last thing, plan your next license upgrade. Now, if you've taken your technician and you're looking to get a general, realize every time you make a step up here, when you go from technician to general, and when you go from general to amateur, you get more bands, you get more power. And it really builds upon itself. Now, studying is very different now than it was, say, even when I took my test, because it's really, a lot of it is online, and a lot of it is taking these practice exams online, and it really helps prepare you well for being able to take the test, not just knowing the answers, but why you pick the answers. Like I said, that question pool rotated for me and what I used, and that enabled me to be able to absolutely it was spot on for me. I really, it was really kind of a breeze for me. So that's something that I would definitely recommend there. So, yeah, that's kind of what I had for today here. It really kind of lent itself, I think, to be able to talk about this today. It kind of followed up on the heels of, I know I put my, I have my ham radio license now, wanting about ARRL. I just been, reconstitute that video for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's one of my more popular videos. It was one of the first ones I did when I started the channel. It really, really kind of helped. Yeah, there you go, Cooley. You're right. Yeah, it's like, the old adage is true. I mean, it really, time and time again, you have a really nice antenna, it's gonna take you places. All right. All you need, have a basic rig out there, just something real basic to be able to use. And one of the other pieces of advice that I would that I would recommend, you want to stay from away at first, for a while, stay away from radios that have complicated menu systems. And I'm not going to name any brands, Yaesu, but like the FT-891, that is a fantastic, excellent radio, just absolutely fantastic. But the menu system on that is enough to drive a person to drink. Really, it really, really, really is. It really is. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely, James. Absolutely. I want to thank you guys for tuning in this afternoon and hanging in there with me. Really appreciate that. We took our look at Handcation for the year in Orlando. And if those of you are going there, hopefully maybe get to rub shoulders with you. We're not going to Hamvention this year. And just to give you some tips if you've just got your license and where you go from here. And I hope that helped you guys as well. As always, definitely, you can always email me at hamradiobasics@gmail.com. If you guys have any questions, I'm here to help you guys. That's why I'm doing this. And the whole reason I started the channel was the ham radio basics. I want to keep things real simple for you guys. It's ham radio. Too many people make ham radio out to be too complicated, and it's not. It really is not that complicated. It's really fairly easy to get set up and get on the air. So just hope you guys are all doing well. Have a great rest of your week. As always, guys, it's a great day to make a QSO. 7 3s, everybody.